Hello, I'm Ajahn Jyotipalo. Welcome to Sauntering into Silence. I'm at Roche Lake Provincial Park right now, which is like 8 kilometers away from Birken, just walking up the power lines. I've been out here a few times, and right now the park is closed and nobody's here. It's just a really quite a spectacular, beautiful place to come and meditate and to be. But I specifically came out today. The winds have been quite strong, blew away all of the smoke from Birken, which was great for us, but very bad for the firefighters. And it's quite interesting being at this spot because this right here is the northern eastern edge of the fire, and I'll show you a shot later, but over there you can see the southern edge of the fire. And down there in the lower left-hand corner is the southern edge of the fire. So it covers a very large area. I've gotten several questions recently from friends asking if these forest fires here in British Columbia have brought up any trauma for me. It must have been 3 or 4 years ago, the big fires at Abhayagiri, where we were evacuated for over a week. We were invited to spend time at the monastery that actually gave Abhayagiri half of their property. The city of 10,000 Buddhas invited us to come and stay, and so we were residents there and very grateful for their hospitality. I was kind of, I guess not surprised because I already knew it, but when people asked if I was experiencing any trauma because of these fires, the obvious answer was no. And reflecting on why that is, my initial coming to Birken Monastery was to be on retreat for a year, and I wanted to focus on just using icon painting as my medium of meditation, as well as sitting and walking and doing chanting and everything else that we do in the monastic form. But I wanted to see what would happen if I just really devoted myself to icon painting. Now, at the same time, I decided to lose a bunch of weight. And so I started doing a lot more hiking and then fell in love with sauntering. And at some levels, I actually found there was this difficulty for me in balancing the two, being an icon painter, the concentration and real joy that comes from that. Because when I would get into that state, I wouldn't want to stop and I wouldn't want to go for walks and exercise. But then when I would go out and do these long saunters and hikes, I also didn't have much of a desire to do any icon painting. So it's like both were accomplishing the same thing for me and sort of blocking my interest in doing the other. Pretty quickly my goal though became to lose a lot of weight and to get in better shape. So I decided to do that, and then just while I was walking and doing filming, I fell in love with the videography. I knew also, I was talking to Ajahn Sona about this at the time, that when I was hiking and just being out in nature, I was getting in these states of just real bliss, just complete happiness. And Ajahn Sona made this really funny comment. He said, trees are like cats, in that if you are needy, like they're not going to come anywhere near you, but if you're content and full, they'll come running to you. It really felt that way. Like when I'd be out here, like when I'm out here now, it's like I can see on this camera here, the colors don't even do justice. It's just spectacularly beautiful here. I was commenting on this to a friend that when I'm out here, it just really rejuvenates me and makes me peaceful and happy. And they were like, well, how do you take that joy and happiness into your daily life? Like they can understand that when they're out there, when they're out here, they would feel the same way I'm feeling right now. But when you go back into your daily life happens. And so what I said was, I see it as a really long-term process. It's not like, I don't feel like I'm actually trying to get anything from here to bring back to my daily life, but I think what being here changes me, and changes me at a very profound level. So then when I am back in the, say, worldly life, if you're already changed, then the worldly life, affects you the same way. Another way of sort of talking about this was right when I left the previous monastery I was at. I did go to a Catholic monastery and lived there for almost a year as a resident scholar at the Collegeville Institute. And I was there specifically to study iconography and see about ways of trying to make Buddhist icons. That was a great year. But one of the highlights, or one of the benefits of being there, was living in another monastic community that has different rules than we do, have different structures, and just seeing how they live. So I didn't live directly with the monastics there, but I would have daily interactions with them. I would go to some of their church services. Go to their noon meal, and just got to know quite a few of them as friends. What I noticed was that entire time I was there, because I was in just a completely different environment, I wasn't judging them. I didn't have criticisms of them. I didn't find my mind getting negative about people's personalities. Like, there were a couple times when people did or said something, and I could just, they're just in a bad mood, or they're rushed, and could just easily dismiss it and not worry about it. Whereas if I was back in my other community, like, that person's always that way, and they'd say something mean to me, and I might get upset about it for a week or longer. When I initially came to Birken, Ajahn Pasano, my teacher, was here, just ending a long retreat. I was telling him this, that I think being in that environment in the Catholic monastery, there were obviously moments of aversion, but it was like almost none. So what I was telling Ajahn Pasano, I knew that aversion hadn't been totally eradicated from me, and it was just the conditions that allowed it not to arise. But I had the suspicion that, having spent an entire year there in that space where it didn't arise, that when it did arise again, it would be so much more obvious and painful to see it. And I think that's actually been the case, because now I've been here 3 years, and there have been a few instances, but when it does arise, like if I start having a judgment about the way something is done, or the way somebody acts, or a decision that was made, it's just like, who am I? Maybe that it probably is the right decision, because I'm a foreigner in Canada, so I don't know the way they do things here, and it might be the proper way of dealing with things. And also, probably just even more importantly, it's if it's the right or wrong decision, doesn't matter. It's actually what's happening in your heart. So if I start having judgments and getting upset about something, I'm in pain. Just having those judgments, having that. And so it's really just looking at the heart and seeing where it's in pain. And if you can, another thing Ajahn Sona says is that something to the effect of, if there's something in your way of being happy and you can name that, you got to let go of it. You got to get rid of it. For me, I can see it's this disease of efficiency, not seeing that there's frustration when other people don't see things in an efficient way, and just having this realization that it doesn't matter, just let go of it, and the work will get done or it won't get done. Hopefully these fires will go out, though. Let me show you what I keep looking back at.